emergency, 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 emergency.
Hello, it's me again, yep. Back with your favourite podcast. Well, I say favourite podcast. I mean, it's not like I'm Joe Rogan and I've signed up exclusively to have this podcast on Spotify. I mean, I'm not going to make a living out of this, am I? Anyway, keeping well. I've got a bit of a sore throat at the moment. Hopefully it's not the virus. I don't think it is. Probably just the fact that I'm 48 years old and I have allergies. Anyway, like I said, I hope you're keeping well. By now, if you read my blog or follow me on Facebook, you'll know that I've launched the Two Sheds mixtape. I've uploaded 2 mixtapes, broken down into 4 parts at the moment. The music of 1971 and the roots and branches of the supergroup Audioslave are currently online. You can access them through my blog at twoshedsreview.blogspot.com. Not much else to talk about. I've been on my travels the past couple of weeks or so, and I recorded a few things down. The first part was when I was having a wander around, taking my government prescribed exercise around my local area, the Suffield Park area of Cromer. And the second part was recorded this past Wednesday, as I made my weekly trip into Cromer town centre itself to pick up some essential supplies as well. When I say essential supplies, I don't mean just packets of Wotsits and some cake, but you know what I mean. The reason I've done it again is that we're now just over a week since Uncle Boris relaxed the lockdown restrictions a bit, and I just wanted to see how the town was getting on and if it had made any difference. The first part, going around Suffolk Park, was recorded the day after the new restrictions came into place, and the second part, as I said, was recorded this past Wednesday, a week after they came into place. Looking back on it now, I think I was in 2 different moods here, but have a look at it and see what you think, and when you've listened to it all, I'll be back giving a few final thoughts, as it were.
Stop the music for a few minutes. It's time for news.
Right, it's Thursday afternoon, the day after the lockdown restrictions were eased a little. It's a nice day. I'm currently sitting outside Cromer Hospital. Nothing to worry about. I'm just sitting here looking opposite the Cromer group practice on Mill Road here in Cromer. I've just been here to collect my monthly prescription. I've been on a ton of medication ever since my heart operation 4 years ago. I was actually quite surprised when I came down here this afternoon, because the past few times I've been down here since just before the lockdown kicked in, way back in March, there's been a massive queue here, and I've had to wait quite a long time to collect my prescriptions. But this time was completely different. I mean, there's no queue here at all. There's a bit of a queue inside the building, but it's only of a couple of people or so. I mean, I remember when I first came down here, when the virus thing was getting big. It wasn't murder, but like it was up at Mawson's. But there was a bit of a panic on. Back then, you couldn't actually go inside the building. They had a couple of tables at the door, barring you from going in, and you had to talk to whoever was serving you. From there, since then, they've put excuse the motorcycle. They've put a few measures in place, and like everywhere else, they've got the screens up. All the staff are wearing masks. like I said, it's nowhere near as bad as it was before. I mean, I do remember that first time I came down here, like I said, when the virus was getting big, there were actually people in the queue moaning about the length of time it took to get their stuff. And that really annoyed me quite a bit. It really did, because I thought, I thought these people are doing their best. It's a difficult situation. It's a difficult situation. And, there's not much they can do. And it's funny that as I'm recording this, a woman just walked past with a kid in a pushchair, and again, social distancing was merely a suggestion. But like I said, it's changed a hell of a lot here, and I really have to give these guys credit for what they're doing here. I mean, they're putting themselves at risk and all that, just to serve you and me, the general public. And for that, I think we should be thankful. And just as I was finishing up that little piece and pressing the stop button, some more people walked past me. Again, not realising that the social distancing rule is a rule and not a suggestion. So, now I'm sitting outside a place where I spent a hell of a lot of time when I was a kid. But it's been closed down the past couple of months. That's Ferns Park here in Suffield Park area of Cromer. As I look around, there's a couple of signs up saying the park has been closed. That's the Coast Hopper bus going past. I seem to be interrupted a great deal by modes of transportation. Like I said, the park's closed down. It says, it's closed down. There's tape all over the various bits of apparatus to stop kids from getting on there. And as I was saying, the park has been closed down. A woman walked straight across it, so I'm thinking, screw it, maybe I can walk across it and take that as a bit of a shortcut home. I've just been in the post office, the one-stop convenience store as it is now. And I have to give Andy Mills and his crew a hell of a lot of credit for what they've done the past couple of months. I mean, Andy's been here in Cromer as the owner of the store for years and years now. He's a nice chap, and I've been going in that shop for as long as I can remember. And it's the small stores like his that I really have a great deal of sympathy for at the moment. I really do. They've had to go through a hell of a lot with the panic buying and putting measures into place. It's guys like him and the girls who work for him who really deserve a lot of credit during this thing. I mean, as I've mentioned before, I've worked off and on in retail since 1995, and I tried to get back in applying for various supermarkets when the lockdown hit, but like Jason Ranford, I got the kickback from Tesco. And I used to get a hell of a lot of crap over that time. I used to get a hell of a lot because people viewed retail workers as, the bottom rung of the ladder, as it were, like they weren't very good, and, like anyone could do that job. And it's my hope that people's perceptions of retail workers has now changed. I mean, there's a big part of me who'd like to be out there, working in a shop somewhere, doing my bit. And I've tried. I like I said, in the run up to the lockdown, when the supermarkets were screaming out for staff, I sent in tons of applications, and I got a few rejections. And after the lockdown went through and it started and all that, I had a few emails that said that the jobs didn't exist anymore. So I don't know whether I could count that as a job rejection. But, looking around generally around Suffield Park, you wouldn't think that the kids are off school at the moment. I mean, I saw a couple of kids on my way up here. But, there would be quite a few here playing football, as I did all them years ago, going around the slide and the various apparatus and all that, but it's deserted. I mean, you can tell the grass hasn't been cut for quite a while. And like I said, when I first came here, the first thing I saw was a sign saying the park has been closed. And I suppose it's same for the bowling club next door to the park. I mean, on a nice day like this, there'd be a few people playing bowls. I was never into bowls. It's one of those sports that I think is quite boring. I've never got into it. But there would be quite a few people there, not just playing bowls, but I don't know if they've got a bar there or anything. I've never been in the building. But like I said, everyone thought that when the lockdown restrictions were eased a little, basically we'd go apeshit and say, screw you, we're going to do what we used to do. But I think they have to commend the people of Suffield Park. Right, it's never a big bustling place, but they've kept the kids inside, they've kept the kids away from each other, and that has to be commended. I'm now on Northup's Road in the Suffield Park area of Cromer. I took the long way round. I didn't go through Ferns Park. I took the long way round past the bowls club. There was someone there, a groundsman doing a bit of work. But the surprising thing was, I saw people and they were actually observing the social distancing rules. I mean, I saw two old boys talking to each other. They were more than 2 metres apart. Their conversations seemed to be about, what shops they felt the safest in. And as I turn that corner to go past the top of Ferns Park, there was some dog walkers there, an old lady and a young couple, probably brother and sister. The old lady had a big dog, the younger couple had a little dog. And the youngsters, they stopped and moved out of the way and kept their distance so that the old lady could walk past. That's actually something I haven't seen much of in the past couple of months. Really isn't. I've tried to do my bit for social distancing. I've crossed the road when people have been walking on the same road as me. But I don't think I've ever seen anyone do that for me. I don't remember anyone doing that for me. And I can't help but think that perhaps we could all show a bit of manners when someone does that for you. Like, a polite nod or raise of the hand. You know how car drivers do when one of them stops to let someone coming in the opposite direction through. Yeah, interrupted by cars again. As I was saying, just a polite nod or a wave of the hand saying, thanks for observing social distancing rules. I just think that would probably make someone's day. It probably would make my day. Opposite me has also got me thinking about, the government-appointed exercise regime, how we're allowed to do more than one trip a day. I mean, look at opposite me now is the bit of ground that, up until a few years ago, was the practice ground for the Cromer Golf Club. It was just over the way there. It used to be a lovely place. You could walk and take your dog there. back in the day, you know, I'd go there with my brother Michael, and sometimes we'd play our football there, and what have you. Here comes another delivery van, and you know, for some reason, the owner of that stopped the golf club from using it. The guy who owns it, he's got a bit of a reputation in Cromer. I'm not going to name him and tell you what he's meant to have done. And here's another car. But, you know, it was a lovely bit of land, and you could cut through it if you were walking up the road to Overstrand. I used to cut through it every day when I worked at the garden centre. And like I said, it was a nice place to walk, and it would have been nice if perhaps, you know, the guy hadn't had his spat or whatever, and, you know, if we could have still used that and gone for a nice leisurely walk. I mean, you can still cut through to Overstrand up there, but it's not the same. I mean, the land is completely overgrown. You're not meant to be able to get in. It's like it just hasn't been bothered with for a few years. And also, a bit up the way from where I am now, I'd say about half a mile, probably a bit less, is the caravan park, Forest Park. And, you know, all the cars that have passed me, I'm wondering are some of them going up there? Aren't they sort of like the second home owners that aren't meant to be coming up here? Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I mean, you can't tell really. I mean, I don't know if they just want to spend their isolation lockdown thing in their second homes, but, you know, that's up to them really, isn't it? Anyway, I'm going to end this bit now. I mean, I'm on the home stretch, as it were. And I'll soon be home and have two mad terriers jumping over me.
Excuse me, what happened if you mash this button? What do it do? Oh Lord. Ooh. Oh! Lord. Oh! Good.
Here we are again. It's Wednesday. It's officially 1 week after the lockdown restrictions were eased, and I'm on my travels again. I've taken a different route this time. I'm currently overlooking the sea, the North Sea. I'm standing on the cliff top path, next to Northwatch Park. I can see a few people enjoying the lovely weather on the beach. It's quite warm, but there's a nice breeze. And from what I can tell, as I walk towards the fence, it seems that a lot of people are observing the social distancing rules. I mean, I'm looking out now. In the distance, I can see one of my old stomping grounds, the Henry Blogg Lifeboat Museum, which is sadly closed at the moment for obvious reasons. And also in the distance, I can see Cromer Pier. Doesn't seem to be anyone on the pier, so I'm assuming it's still closed. On the way down here, I saw quite a few people. Some were heading from town, some were heading into town, and quite surprisingly, some of them actually crossed the road when they saw me. And as I've mentioned before, you know, that hasn't happened that much before. So it's nice to see some of these people respecting my personal space and observing the social distancing rules. So I'm going to head off into town and see what's happening there. So I've now moved along a bit, and I'm now standing, still looking over the sea and Cromer Pier, but I'm now standing outside the Red Lion Hotel and Pub, and, you know, seeing everything, it's just a reminder of everything that's going on. I mean, I didn't walk along the seafront, but I think most of the shops that are normally open this time of year are probably closed. And although I can see some kids down on the seafront eating ice cream, so behind me, of course, the Red Lion is closed. But as I get further along the cliff top on my way into town, there does seem to be more and more people about on the beach. But thankfully they are staying in their respective little groups and all that. And as I said before, some of them seem to have found ice cream. It's tempting to go and join the queue if there is one. Well, here I am again. I'm in the middle of town. I'm in the churchyard where I started my last outside broadcast piece. I've seen more people than I probably did the last time I did one of these things. But as I was walking up here, it got me wondering. I mean, why are people coming into Cromer if there's nothing to do? I mean, as I said, all the pubs are closed, the cafes are closed, the shops are closed. The only thing is that's open are supermarkets and the essential stores and the chemists and all that. So what is there to see? I mean, they can't go up the church tower. They can't visit the Henry Blogg Museum or the Cromer Museum, which is just to my left here. They can't go and buy gifts from gift shops. There's a lot they can't do at the moment, apart from sit on the beach. So I'm scratching my head a little. Why wander around the town centre? Why visit Cromer in the first place? I mean, no lockdown restrictions have been eased a little, but I just can't work it out. I mean, I look across the road now and I see a perfect example of just what the lockdown has done to Cromer. You know, the road is K Hardware, it's a hardware shop. It's been there for well, probably for longer than I have been in this world. They expanded a little bit, had a bit upstairs for a while, and then a bit next door. They bought a shop next door to expand there. But a few months ago, the Bond Street Bakery, which is just around the corner and up the road, as it were, they bought that bit of the shop and we're going to expand into that bit. But as I look at it now, the construction work, or whatever you call it, has stopped, and there's a ladder in the window. That really sums it up, how this lockdown has affected Cromer. I mean, you had excuse the motorcycles there, you had a bakery that had been around for years that were looking to expand their business and were probably hoping to open in time for Easter, and just try and cash in on the holiday makers who inevitably would want cream cakes and things like that. But on March the 23rd, all that had to stop. But as I said, you know, what is there to do in Cromer? Why are people coming here? You know, maybe they do want to look at the big church tower that's 150 feet tall. I mean, they can't go up it. So, what's the point? Maybe someone out there can tell me. Right, I'm now standing on Garden Street in Cromer as I look down towards the end of the road, down to, I think it's Craft Burgers there now. It was the Dolphin Pub. I can see now where people are getting the ice cream from. There's a bit of a queue there. As I came out of the Co-op car park, I saw a group of 3 people approaching the Mary Jane's fish and chip shop. I think they're doing deliveries or something, but they're not open for business. And these 3 people seem to be quite vocal with their complaints about not being able to get any fish and chips. As I look further down the road, there's As you probably know, there's quite a few gift shops on this road. There's a Seaside Shack, there's Inspiration, there's a couple of charity shops here. 3 charity shops actually. And down the end of the road there's 2 more gift shops. They're all closed. These people would have been doing a booming business this time of year. But again, it's another example of what's happening because of this virus. But I still can't quite get out of my mind these people moaning about the chip shop being closed and them not being able to get in there. I mean, everyone knows what's going on, but why can't people realise that if they come to Cromer, they can't do anything? I know I'm sounding like an old stuck record, but they come to Cromer and they can't go in the gift shop, so it seems that all they can do is buy an ice cream and sit on the beach. I'm now standing on Cadogan Road outside one of my old stomping grounds, QD Stores. I've worked here twice before, and if things had turned out differently, I may have actually been working here right now. Despite being deemed an essential business, the store closed down quite a while ago now. So any job that I applied for doesn't actually exist anymore. I'm standing here, I'm looking across at the car park, and there does seem to be quite a few cars on there, more than there was the last time I did one of these outside broadcast type things. You know, I'm just about to go into Morrison's to shop for a few essentials that I need. So as I walk across the road, and they've got the barriers up to stop the buses getting on there, and I suppose that's to stop caravans and all that from overnight camping in, another attempt to deter day trippers. Well, I'm now entering the car park, and as I said before, there does seem to be quite a few cars here. I'd say at least 2 dozen. I mean, a lot of these are probably parking here because I think London Road car park is still closed. There's no buses here, so like I said, because the gates are closed. So people are obviously parking here on their day trips. Like I said, I'm off to Morrison's to try and get a few essentials and see what it's like up there since the lockdown restrictions were eased. Right, I'm now sitting outside the Masala Twist. You might recall that was the restaurant I stood outside during my last outside broadcast type thing. And the reason I'm here again is to look over at the Meadow car park. Last time I was here, there was just 1 car. And now there seems to be about 20 odd here. And, just by looking at the people and seeing what they're doing, I would hazard to guess that most of the people getting in and out of the cars there aren't in Cromer to do essential shopping. They're here for, day trips. Like I said, it's a nice day. They can sit on the beach. And there's one place in Cromer, by the looks of it, that's serving ice cream, so they're probably doing a roaring trade at the moment. But there's nothing else to do in Cromer. Cromer is basically shut. Well, apart from supermarkets and other essential places like chemists, Cromer is shut down. And maybe it's because I'm an unlogical person. If I have something to do somewhere, that's why I go there. Like I've just been up to Morrison's to get a few bits. I wouldn't have gone to Morrison's just for the sake of going to Morrison's. I went there because I needed to go there. There goes another powerful motorcycle. Like, if the reason that people are coming to Cromer just to sit on a beach and have a bit of a wander around, you know, I wonder why. I don't know, am I missing something here? I just can't fathom it. Why go to a town that's essentially shut down? As I've said before, I'm going to sound like a stock record again. The gift shops aren't open, most of the takeaways are only doing home delivery service. Basically everything's shut down apart from essential stuff, and yet there's kids running around with their parents. There's a couple walking around hand in hand doing the old sightseeing bit. As I record this bit, there's a couple looking at houses for sale in the estate agent's window, and don't think people would like it if they bought a second home in Cromer at the moment, would they? But why? When I come into Cromer for a reason, why do these people come into Cromer? I mean, it's good and all that this town isn't being swamped by day trippers, but I'm going to go somewhere, at least have something to do, and there's nothing to do here. Well, I'm going to end this bit now. I'm getting hungry, and I'm going to go and see if I can find a taxi to get home. So, as I end this little trip of mine, what have I learned today? How is Cromer doing since the lockdown was eased, as it were? Well, it seems to me that people just don't want to heed the advice of the science guys and the government guys. You know, they're still not going to social distance. They're still going to push past you in supermarkets. And a fine example of this is that I just saw a group of 4 people going to Iceland here in the middle of Cromer and walk straight past the sign saying only 1 person per household at a time, or something like that. It's pretty bloody obvious, this virus thing. You know, I'm going to sound like a stuck record, but it's pretty obvious we're in this for the long haul. And yet it seems we still want to do the tourist bit. You know, we're still going to get in our cars, we're going to go to the coast and have a wander around a nice seaside town, even though there's nothing to do there. You can't go in the arcades, you can't do gift shops and all that stuff. You just can't do anything in Cromer at the moment unless you want to shop for essentials. And have you seen this? I think it's obvious now that we are going to have another spike in cases. There's going to be a second spike. When it happens, I don't know, but it isn't going to be helped by people jumping in their cars and deciding to go out for nice day trips. Perhaps that's where the government got it wrong a little bit. You know, by all means let people out more than once a day, but now by saying they can go as far as they want in their cars, perhaps that was wrong. I mean, by all means, people come to Cromer and do your thing, but think about what you're going to do when you get here. You're just going to wander around town doing basically nothing. Right, so I think you can probably tell from the final pieces of the Cromer bit that I wasn't really impressed with what I'd seen around the town centre. And when I got home, I began to think, break down, you know, things in my mind. And last night, Wednesday night, I was reading on one of the Facebook pages that I'm a member of, that someone in Sheringham had seen day trippers, tourists, whatever you want to call them, urinating behind a a building because the public toilets have been closed in the town because of the lockdown. It's probably the same everywhere because of the lockdown. And then earlier today, it's Thursday the 21st, I'm recording this in the evening. Earlier today I read an article on the North Norfolk News website which said that human excrement had been found on Weybourne Beach, again because the public toilets had been closed because of the lockdown. And it got me thinking again about what I'd been thinking about last night after I'd recorded my piece and when I'd edited it all together. So now I'm going to say something to the people who are coming to our seaside towns, and maybe not just in this area, but in whatever area you live. This isn't to the people of Cromer, or to anyone that I know personally. This is basically to the people who think that because the lockdown restrictions have been eased and that Uncle Boris has said you can now travel as far as you like for a bit of exercise. This is something I want to say to them. Now I've broken this down into five reasons why you, the people who don't live in Cromer, the tourist type people of Cromer, shouldn't come to this town at the moment. Number one, visitor attractions are closed. It means both of the town's museums are closed, so you can't find out anything about our history. And we have got a very rich history. I'm not going to go on about it. Also, Cromer Pier is closed, so you cannot go on the pier and look out to sea and do a bit of crab fishing. You can't do that. And also the church is closed. I'm not sure if you actually call that a tourist attraction. So, which means you can't climb the many steps and stand 150 feet high in the air on top of the church tower and look out across the surrounding area. So there's nothing. Oh, and also the amusement arcades are closed, so you can't gamble what pennies you have away. Number two, the pubs are closed, which means you can't go in the pubs and get drunk. You can't have a nice pint or whatever it is you drink. Number three, cafes and restaurants are closed, which means you can't go and have a nice meal after sitting on the beach all day. Number four, the gift shops are closed, and you can add into that the non-essential shops, and which means you can't go in one of our many lovely gift shops, and you can't buy a postcard and send it to Grandma saying, "Having a lovely time, wish you were here." And finally, the public toilets are closed, which means even if you do come down on a day trip, you'll have to hold your legs and sort of like hold it in and all that, because let me put it this way. If you've decided to spend time on the beach, say near the gangway, where near where the fishing boats are kept and all the old tractors, and near where the lifeboat cafe and the Rock House Cafe and the Henry Bog Museum are. If you're there and you are desperate to answer the call of nature, you are going to have to go all the way to Morrison's, up the other end of town, to relieve yourself. Now, I can just imagine a mother and a screaming little toddler going, "I need a wee, Mum," and her dragging him or her all the way up to Morrison's and up the steps or the slope, just so they can have a pee. So that's 5 good reasons why you, the British public, should not come to Cromer or to any other seaside resort at the moment. But I've got an even better one for you. You may have heard about this thing on the news in the past few months or so. It's starting to get really big around about December time. It's called coronavirus. You may have heard about it, you may have seen a bit in a paper about it, you may have seen a bit on the news about it. It's affecting everyone. It's affecting me, it's affecting my family, it's affecting my friends, it's affecting my entire hometown. a town that I have lived in all of my life, and I may have had disagreements with it, and I may have fallen out of love with it at times, but I love my hometown of Cromer. If you come to Cromer from wherever it is you live, you can drive something like 30, 40, 50, whatever miles. You can't pay just to spend a day on the beach, to wander around looking at in the windows of our gift shops that are closed, to stand outside our chip shops moaning because you can't get a piece of cod and chips, to stand outside other shops because you can't get a dressed crab. Then you're placing us in danger. You're placing the people of Cromer in danger. And you are endangering yourselves and your family, because you don't know if anyone you come into contact, any of the locals that you may come into contact here in Cromer, have either had or are carrying the coronavirus. I may have had it. I don't know. I haven't been tested. You may have had it. You probably never been tested either. So just think about it. You could have it. You could come to Cromer and you could spread it. Or you could take it from someone in Cromer and spread it to whatever part of the country you're coming from, even if you're just living 10, 20, 30 miles away. You're placing everyone in danger. Now, you're not telling me that the British public, the British public, are not idiots. Like I said, you've seen all the stuff on the televisions that I've seen. And I've sort of like more or less banged my head against the desk after seeing some things on the internet, what that people have done, you know. People going on about, oh, my friend's a bit upset, so I invited him round my house for a drink, even though I've got a wife and 3 kids. You know, I just can't fathom it. I see people not observing the social distancing rules, and I've had to break those rules myself, even though I've tried to observe them most of the time that I've gone out. I've seen videos of people travelling from Norwich or whatever, running up some of the steps, the cliff steps here in Cromer, for a bit of exercise. Now, you're not telling me that there isn't a park in Norwich, or whatever, in big open spaces in Norwich, that they can't exercise there. We are all in this together, people. And I know it sounds like I'm ranting and raving, and I know it sounds like I'm getting a bit preachy, but having seen all of this for the past few months, you know, seeing how it's slowly gone down, and how, well, most of the people I know have handled it quite well, and they've observed the rules and all that. But I've also seen a hell of a lot of cockwombles, a hell of a lot of idiots not observing the rules. I'm not just talking about the likes of those people I saw yesterday moaning because they couldn't buy fish and chips. I'm talking about the people sort of like who are going to supermarkets, even though they have a 1 person per household rule, and they go in groups of 4 or 5. I mean, for instance, yesterday as I walked past Iceland, they have a sign out on an A-board out there. You know, 1 person per household. A group of 4 went in. No, it's not just our responsibility to make sure we do this, but I also think it's the responsibility of the people who work in these non-essential shops to remind their customers and to remind the people shopping there of their responsibility and of what we're going through at the moment. And I don't mean just put out a message over the tannoy system, and I don't mean just have sort of like a bloke slouching in a chair by the door where the baskets are kept and going, so you got to put hand sanitizer on, blah 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 blah. You need staff who are going to basically make people see sense, and if they're not going to see sense, then they should be asked to leave the store. But then again, I'm sort of like divulging a little bit from what I originally wanted to say here. So that's it. Now I've said my bit, you know. I'm not happy. As I said in the piece, I think we're going to get another spike. I mean, I've tried to support I'm not conservative, no, and I've posted things on Facebook and social media saying that in the past that Boris Johnson is basically a bit of a twat. But I've tried to support the government as much as possible, despite things that I've read and despite everyone else, and especially the opposition politicians having a go, the government should have done this, the government should have done that, blah blah blah, and the media are basically having a field day at the moment. And despite all that, I've tried to support the government as much as possible, but I think that Boris has made a mistake in relaxing the lockdown rules and telling people we can now go as far as we want for our exercise and for our days out and all that. Just jokingly, early on during all of this, I made a Facebook post about saying something about, is it alright now for me to go around Cromer telling tourists to piss off home? And having experienced some of it and having seen news items, I'm now tempted, I have to admit I'm tempted to do that, but I don't know where they're from and I don't know what they're carrying. I don't want to put myself in danger and I don't want to put those I live with in danger. Now, I've said my piece, so I doubt if anything will change, though, will it? Like I said, the majority of people I know are good people, and they've done the right thing, but it's just so maddening when I see people behaving the way they do. It's like you don't realise just what is going on. I'm going to leave it at that. As I said, thanks for listening to this, and thanks for listening to me moan for nearly 15 minutes on this piece. Stay safe, stay well, and just remember, one day this coronavirus will be a distant memory. The sad thing is, I think it's going to take a long time before that happens. Night all.
That's all, folks.
Required monthly test of the emergency alert system originating from the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency, Harrisburg. Satellite uplink truck number 3.